In today's class, we are going to discuss about the chapter hardware and software. The concepts that we are going to discuss here are introduction, hardware, types of hardware, software, and the types of software. In the introduction, we are going to see about the hardware and software of a computer. A computer is an electronic device that accesses data in the form of input, and it processes the data arithmetically and logically, and it produces an information in the form of an output. And it is divided into two main categories. Those are the hardware and the software. Hardware components are the physical components of a computer which can be touched and felt, whereas software is instructions that is stored in a computer. Okay, for example, if you relate this with your human body, it will be the hands, legs, or the physical component that you can touch and feel in your body is called as the hardware in a computer, whereas software in your body will be your emotions, your feelings, your memory, the things that you have stored in your brain. All that will be related with the software, but it cannot be shown in a proper manner in a form of a software. Those are the instructions that is stored in a computer. What is a hardware? A hardware is the physical aspects of a computer, telecommunications, and other devices. Okay, it also relates to the cables, connected power supply units, and the peripheral devices such as keyboard, mouse, audio speakers, and printers. All the physical components of a computer is called as the hardware. And there are various types of hardware. The first one is internal hardware. For example, in your human body, even though you can see some external parts in your human body, there are internal organs like heart, your lungs. All those are called as the internal organs. Just like that, even though you see a computer, there are various internal hardware that is available. For example, your CPU, motherboard, RAM, ROM. Okay, we are not going to see all the elements in detail. I'll be explaining you certain internal hardwares. The first one is CPU. Actually, it is just like a brain in your human body where all the data are getting stored. Okay, here CPU is called as a brain of a computer where most of the calculations and the logical execution takes place over here. There are two typical components in a CPU. The first one is arithmetic logic unit, and the second one is your control unit. Okay, arithmetic and logic operations means the mathematical calculation, and the logical means if else or those kind of execution will takes place in CPU. And there is a control unit where the execution, how it gets shut down, and how it gets executed from one instruction to the other. All those control process also takes place in CPU. In your human body, even though you do your calculations and you take your decisions by using your brain, right, at the same time when you want to walk or when you want to do and work, the human body gets controlled. When you want to move your hands or legs, all those operations are also controlled by your brain. Just like that, when a computer gets shut down or when it is executed, all those operations are executed in a CPU. And within CPU you have a motherboard. Okay, it is a main circuit board of a microcomputer. Okay, it contains a CPU, memory, expansion slot, and the controllers required to control standard hardware devices. Okay, all those operation oriented control elements are available in a motherboard. You can see a motherboard over there. It is within the CPU. Okay, mainly in a CPU you have a processor, okay, which executes all the operations. Next, the internal hardware we are going to see random access memory and read-only memory. This is just like your brain where the data are getting stored up. And in random access memory, it consists of the data that is temporarily stored in it. Okay, it is just like a short-term memory where you store the data and you sometimes you forget, right? At the same time, in a computer it gets executed faster, but it is available in RAM, that is called as random access memory, only till the power supply is connected. Once it gets shut down, all these data will be deleted. If you want to store that in a permanent way, you have to store it in ROM, in read only memory. Okay, here the data can be available for a longer span of time. I mean, until unless you delete it, it will not get deleted, and you can access this any time, any number of time. You can retrieve and you can just see the data or execute the data any number of times. Okay, next there is something called input hardware. Okay, input hardware consists of external devices by which we give information and instruction to the computer. For example, when you want to store something in your brain, we use our eyes to view something and it gets, and the same object will be stored in our brain. At the same time, when you want to, when you hear something, a song or something, we listen it through our ears and we store it in our brain. Those are those input to our body. Just like that, a computer needs a keyboard, a mouse, and a scanner to get the input. What is a keyboard? The set of typewriter like keys that enables you to enter the data in your computer. Okay, and mouse, it controls the movement of the cursor or the pointer on the display screen. You can select your icon and you can do the selecting of text using your mouse. Then you have a scanner. Okay, in before learning about scanner, you have to know two things. One is a hard copy, another one is a soft copy. When you take a printout of a data, okay, if you want to take a printout of a document, the printout is called as a hard copy, whereas before printout, when you have a Word document in your computer, that is called as a soft copy. Okay, here the scanner converts the hard copy, that is the printed document, into a digital document, or into a data that is stored in a computer. Okay, it converts the hard copy into a soft copy and it can be stored in your computer just like an image format. Next, you have an output hardware. Okay, when you imagine you want to learn for an exam, it could be science exam, and you want to learn a chapter. Even though you store it in your brain, for exam you have to write it down, or you can say the answers. Okay, somehow you give an output of what you have learned, whether you write it down as an exam or you just say that. In that way you reproduce the output of what you have learned. Just like that, in a computer you have an output hardware where it displays the output. The common output hardwares are monitor, printer, speaker. What is a monitor? It is a display screen used to present output. Okay, for example, if you are sad, it will be reflected automatically in your face, right? You'll be sad, and if you're happy, you'll be smiling, and that will reflect again in your face. Just like that, a monitor displays all the output from a computer. Okay, it could be the video camera, VCR means video cassette recorder, or video generator. Okay, those will be the one that produces the output in a monitor. Then we have a printer. Again, the printer converts the soft copy of the data, that is the digital form of data, into a printed document. Okay, it accepts text, graphical output from a computer and transfers the information into a paper. Okay, then you have the speaker. It is an output port to hear the audio produced by the computer. Then you have a connecting hardware. Okay, even though your brain is there, it produces information. How can it get transferred. If you want to move your hand, the command is given by your brain, but it should get transferred from your brain to your hands, right? How can it happen? Through the nerves. Okay, just like that, the connecting hardware act as your nerves. Okay, the common devices are modem, LAN card, etc. Here you have your internet. In order to access your internet, it should be transferred to the router, and through the router only you will be able to retrieve the information to the computers. All those cables that is attached will transfer the information. Here the connecting hardwares are modem and LAN card in your computer. Modems connect a personal or portable computer to dial-up networks through a regular telephone lines. Okay, LAN card, it means local area network. It is used to provide wireless internet access to computers users in home or roaming networks. Okay, this is how the modem will be there. First, there will be an internet connection. Through the telephone lines, it will be connected to the broadband modem, and then it will be connected to the wireless router. And in a wireless router, we have a network printer and a network hard drive. Network printer will get information in the form of soft copy, and it will convert to a hard copy. Where in network hard drive, you can store the data and you can retrieve it whenever you want. Here there are three peoples, one Carter's PC, second one is Lillian's PC, and the Hawthorne's laptop. All three person are using the same network, whereas Carter is using a lined connection, a wired connection he is using, whereas Lillian and Hawthorne is using a wireless connection. Okay. Next, connecting hardware using LAN connection. Okay, here a high-speed internet is connected with the system. Okay, then it gets transferred to the wireless access point. Okay, only one person is having a wired connection, whereas others are using a wireless connection. Okay, storage hardware. Okay, this is a type of hardware that stores the data. The common storage devices are hard disk, floppy disk, and CD-ROM. We are going to see the difference. What are they? First, you can see the picture, which is a hard disk. It is a magnetic disk on which you can store the computer data. Okay, a large amount of data can be stored in a hard disk. Next, we are going to see a floppy disk. It is a flexible plastic disk coated with a magnetic material, and it is covered by a protective jacket and used primarily by computers to store data magnetically. Okay, then you have a CD-ROM. CD-ROM means compact disk read only memory. It is normally called as a CD, that can be used to read by a computer with an optical drive. You must have an optical drive in your computer in order to read a CD. Then we have the software. Software are the set of instructions that enables physical components of a computer to work in a synchronized way. Okay, this set of instruction is called as a program. Usually all those instructions will be in a set, and it will be stored in the form of program in your computer. Your computer can get executed only by using a software. Okay, without software a computer cannot execute itself, because the hardware devices need a software in order to get executed. And mainly if it is a software, imagine there are two people. One person knows only French. Okay, other person knows only English. Okay, so those persons have to communicate with each other. Even though if they say something, they will not be able to understand each other. And there should be a person who is called as an intermediator, has to be there in order to the intermediator should know both English and French in order to communicate with each other. Okay, first when they talk, they'll be translating to each other, just like that. In your computer knows only machine language, whereas you know a high level language, so you cannot communicate directly, whereas a software will convert the machine language to a high level language in order the human to understand. Whereas when the human give the instructions or the input to the computer, it will be in a form of high level language, or it will be in English format. Whereas in order to computer to understand, it should be converted to machine language. Only then the machine will understand the instructions given by the user. Next, there are four types of software. One is system software, programming software, application software, and utility software. The utility software is having another name that is called as a driver software. What is a system software? It helps in running the computer hardware and the computer system. The main system softwares are operating system and device driver. What is a system software? Okay, in that the first one is device driver. What is a device driver? If you want to insert a mouse in a computer, okay, first it should have its own program that should be inbuilt in a computer, and it should be only then it can be executed. Okay, for example, when you insert a hard drive, first it will ask for device installation settings. Okay, first you have to execute the device in an first you have to install the device in a computer, only then it can be executed. Then you have the operating system. It acts as an interface. As I have told you, we need an intermediator in order to communicate with each other. Just like that, operating system acts as an interface between the hardware and the user. It is responsible for management and coordination of activities and the sharing of the limited resources of a computer. We all use Windows, Ubuntu, Mac, all that we are using, those are all the operating system in order to execute a computer. Then we have certain application software. Actually, the application software enables a user to accomplish a certain specific task. Okay, first one is web browsing software. When you want to access an internet, we must have a web browsing software. Only then you will be able to surf on the web. For example, MS Internet Explorer. And the word processing software. When you want to create a Word document, you must have a word processing software. For example, MS Word. Then we have spreadsheet software. It creates a document to perform calculation. Okay, for example, MS Excel. Then we have database. It allows you to store and retrieve vast amount of data. Okay, we use MS Access. Then we have presentation graphics software. It allows the user to create visual presentation. Okay, for example, MS PowerPoint. Then we have utility software. It helps the management of computer hardware and application software. It performs a small range of tasks. Okay, for example, first we have disk defragmenters. Okay, for example, if you have a load of books in a shelf and if it is not arranged properly, it will consume a lot of space and it will be in a shabby manner. Whereas when you arrange all the books in a shelf, you will get a lot of space. Just like that, when you store the data in an unorganized manner, it will consume a lot of memory. Whereas this disk defragmenters, take all the data and it will store in a particular order. Okay, it and the remaining memory will be left free and you can use it for another purposes. Next we have backup. It is a utility that makes a copy of all the information stored on a disk and restore either entire disk or the selected files. Maybe if by mistake if you delete a data, you can retrieve it from the backup. Then we have something called disk partitioner. It divides an individual disk into a multiple logical drives, each with its own file system. It can be mounted by operating system and treated as individual drives. Okay, it is used in a multitasking manner. Then we have antivirus. This is used to scan computer from viruses. Next, we have a programming software. You must be knowing about various programs like C, C++, Java and all. So in order to access that, when you want to use that in your computer, you must have a software. Okay, it is a tool that assists a programmer in writing computer programs. Okay, the tools that help the programmer in instructing a computer system include text editor, compiler and interpreter. What is a text editor? It is a type of computer program that edits plain text. Okay, and what is a compiler? It is a software that translates or compiles source code written in high level language, for example it could be C, C++, Java, etc., into a set of machine language instruction that can be understood by computer's CPU. Okay, and there is something called interpreter. It is a computer program that directly executes instructions written in a programming or scripting language without requiring them previously to have been compiled into a machine language program. Okay, that's a small difference between a compiler and an interpreter. Compiler converts the high level language into a machine language and then executes, whereas an interpreter directly gets a machine language and executes. And in today's class we have known about the introduction about hardware and software, and then the hardware types of hardware like internal hardware, input hardware, output hardware, connecting hardware and the storaging hardware. Then we have the softwares like and the types of softwares like system software, programming software, application software and the utility software. That's all for today's class. Thank you.